Hi there. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Cafecito Chats. I can't believe that next week is Thanksgiving and the holidays are just right around the corner. So we decided this time around we have 2 episodes left. This is our second to the last episode. And we just wanted to take time to give thanks for everything we've been through this year. I think definitely it can be overwhelming and it can be a time of just so many things happening in our lives. And we decided to dedicate this time to ourselves and to our staff and for us to just pause and reflect on what's been going on this year. So we hope that you put yourself in that mindset if you're here with us today. We're going to be talking about all the things that we've been through and just taking the time to give thanks. So with that, I'm going to be bringing my entire staff on today. So if you guys want to come up, hi.
Hey, Dr. Cortez.
Hi there. And I'm going to have you each introduce yourselves. So you guys have seen them in different shows. They've kind of come on here and there. We're missing one of our favorite guests who you definitely got to see him get a wonderful surprise during his birthday. And he's not here with us today, but we're thinking of him. And we want to start with introducing our staff and them sharing a little bit about their positions and what they've been up to and their favorite food.
Ooh, thank you, Dr. Cortez. I feel you add like a icebreaker for us here.
Yeah.
So, hello, everyone. My name is Liliana Ordóñez, and I'm the Director of Community Relations for Cortez Consulting. I would have to say my favorite food would have to be I have to give a shout out to my mom, and her chilaquiles are so delicious, and it's super good. And then I give a shout out to my mother-in-law with her tamales. So you can't go wrong with either or during the holiday season. So that would be my two.
Thank you, Liliana. How about you, Jody?
So my name is Jody Elderton. If anyone doesn't know me, I'm actually the graphic designer here at Cortez Consulting. And as far as my favorite food, okay, so my favorite meal is probably have to be sesame chicken and fried rice. But around the holidays, my favorite is definitely my grandmother's recipe of our cheesecake. Make it from scratch, and it's just become a tradition, and it's making me hungry thinking about it.
I know, too. I was just going to say that. And Mia, how about you? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mia Field, and I'm the community ambassador for a program we're working on called Smart Trips Austin. And I've been with the Cortez Consulting team for about 6 months now. My favorite food, so recently, about a year ago, my boyfriend and I went vegetarian. So they've changed a little bit. I would have said my mom's Cincinnati chili back in the day, but now it's really any variety of lentils. We've been super creative and learning how to use them. So that's probably my go-to right now.
Oh, yummy. And Leah, we're trying to make this sweet potato lentil soup. So I didn't know that. We might have to get back to the recipe about all that. Well, thank you guys for being here with me. This is our special time. I probably didn't think of a show of having us all on here, but I think it's worth people knowing who we are and the things that we do in the office and the things that we're grateful for. So just kind of sharing with everybody as you've been following us maybe on social media or you've been watching what we're doing, we wanted to just kind of take the time to reflect about this past year. And so some of the things that have been going on that you may have seen, and I know a lot of you were excited for me, and especially all of us in the business when you actually saw me post my sign down. Many of you had seen my sign off of Menchaca Road and would say, I pass by your sign all the time and see your office, and it's so amazing. And then all of a sudden it was down, and I had this photo that you see there, and everybody's like, what is happening? And we were actually getting ready to make a major transition. We lived in a little casita, is what we call it. All of our staff calls it the casita. And we loved being there. It was so cozy and comfy for all of us. But we found a wonderful space off of Riverside that we love. And you can see there one of the photos of me and my mom there. We had an opportunity to design the space, and it got built for us, and we love it, and we got to move. So within this past year, we moved, and you can see the movers there getting all of our stuff together. And Liliana, it was definitely a chore of putting boxes and those types of things, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, but it was a great, great memory, for us to have for sure.
And then we had an opportunity to celebrate, and these are just photos that you see there. And actually, these pictures recently came up in my memories because it would have been Saturday. This year, we had this on a Friday, and so these actually came up just this past couple of days. We celebrated our time. We had what was called an open house. And in our office, we love doing things around food. So many of you, my friends who are watching, came and celebrated. And so we went through a huge transition these past years, moved, kind of got into a new place and celebrated. And then the other big thing is, you can see there our logo. We celebrated our 5-year anniversary. For those of you that are meeting Jody, she's fantastic with all of our graphic design and our artwork. And she came up with a really cool logo for us because, as many of you know, in April, we celebrated 5 years of having the business. And we're just super blessed that we've been able to keep going and moving. The other big things that have happened besides of course, we celebrated the 5-year in April, and right before that, COVID hit. And so we kind of then at that point had to rethink of how we were doing things. And we, as life before COVID, this is what it looked like literally the weekend before spring break happened. We were all out there taking pictures, hugging, posting things up for different events that we had. Definitely, because our work is public engagement, we are out there talking to people, outside doing things, and it was a definite shift. The one that you see onto the right to the corner of our community event literally happened this Saturday before Austin basically went to stay-at-home orders. So crazy time, you guys, huh?
Very.
Yeah.
I still even remember the one in the middle, Dr. Cortez. We were, of course, supporting the city of Austin with one of their projects. And like you mentioned, we all went as a team and started, doing flyer distribution, getting to know small businesses in the Aldridge Street area. And it really happened weeks before COVID. So seeing just the transformation and, what happened before. So there was a life before COVID, is I guess what I'm trying to say for sure. But it was great, to bring these pictures to life because, it did happen and it did affected us. And there were great memories for sure.
Yes. And then, of course, COVID hit. And we all, like all of you, were dealing with what this looks like. And for us in particular, because we work in the community, I think the challenge for us was having to figure out what this was going to look like. And I think for us, we were trying to figure out what that does look like and how our meetings changed, how our engagement changed. And I know that we had to learn some new technologies, huh, Liliana?
Yes, we did. StreamYard, this one being one of them for sure. But yes.
We had to learn the virtual meetings. And then, of course, Mia, you went through the process of being onboarded as a staff member. And what was that like for you?
Yeah, it was so different. I remember so clearly during my interview, I'd never used Microsoft Teams before, and I don't know if I wasn't fully updated or what happened, but I could not see myself on screen that whole interview. And so I was just so nervous that there was some crazy stuff going on in my background. I wasn't looking the right way, but I was too nervous to bring it up. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna do it. It's probably better this way. But yeah, the whole process, I definitely think it's a skill now and can definitely help other people go through it. But the team was really great helping me get adjusted and using the virtual meetings to get to know everyone and adjust to the new procedures for sure.
Yes. And then Jody, you had a major milestone in your life with graduation. And what was that like for you?
Oh man, that was definitely a crazy time because I obviously, as y'all know, I was supposed to graduate in May. I mean, I did graduate in May, but then we went off to spring break for the week. And then while we were away, we got an email from the school saying they're shutting down campus. We're officially moving everything virtually. So that was kind of just got thrown into there from seeing classmates every day to them being on the computer all day. And then we were supposed to have, the big graduation where you get to walk and everything. And that got canceled. It turned into actually a virtual slideshow to where you had your photo, your name, your degree popped up. And so that was kind of crazy, but I was still pretty proud that I finished it, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I mean, I got it done and was able to kind of grind through even with the big adjustment midway through semester. But
Yes.
it was crazy.
Absolutely. And what about, I think one of the things that we talked about as we've experienced this is maybe what are some of the positives that we can take away from the pandemic. And I know for us, it really helped us grow together. And, we ran a campaign called Show the Love. And this was right when people were saying we're in it together. And you saw all these hashtags of trying to focus on coming together and really understanding that wearing your mask was really more about yourself. It was about everybody else around you. And then, of course, we transitioned to home. Liliana, there you are with your cup and your mug and and all of your things. And of course, us kind of thinking about how do we thank people for the work that we're doing. But it definitely made us grow together as a team. And then there were some other things that we created too, like Cafecito chats.
Yes, Dr. Cortez, I think something to be thankful of COVID was like kind of how do we come together and still keep the business going? And, I remember you sitting virtually, I guess, meeting with me, and you were like, okay, let's brainstorm of what can happen during this time. And you and I actually had the conversation of possibly launching a podcast, and we were, talking about it or whatnot. And like I mentioned, one of the things that I had we all had to learn was technology. And as we were doing, different virtual meetings and getting training for those for our clients, we then thought, okay, how can we brand something that's ours, right? And the making of it. And as we started brainstorming, Dr. Cortez was just like, we do this all the time. We check in with each other already at, 3 or so. That's really our hard stop where we just kind of unwind a little and get to see where everyone's at within, staff and our team. Like, why don't we just take this on the road? And, it's something that Miss Ophelia, I think, blossomed from her when we were there at La Casita. And it just kind of, the creation of it was, I'm very thankful to COVID because it just came to play. And this is definitely something that it's a great production. Everyone gets to see us, gets to connect with us as well. So that's a little bit more about Cafecito Chat.
And then the really cool thing is we thought of our merchandise. This had been something we've been wanting to do for some time. And I guess sometimes when you're having to rethink your path, and I hope some of you experience this as well, if you have your own business or you're doing your own ways at working from home or educating your child. I know I have a lot of friends that now have said, I just started homeschooling. And you have to really be creative and innovative. But, Jody and I got to work on this project together as well as with the whole staff. But Jody, we actually also launched merchandise too.
Yes, we did. And I was super excited when we finally found someone who could help us actually put all these things together in the image that we wanted. And it was very unique, I think, with what the product was and the results. So I'm super excited that it's out there and we finally got it together.
And here's a great product of it. I actually have one here, which is my favorite one.
And if you guys think about it, we're coming around the holidays. We're still promoting. We're going to be keeping our merchandise live this whole time. So it's on our website. You can click on it. The really cool thing about the people that we're working on, whether you order one thing or whether you order multiple things, it's on the spot ordering. So that was really cool and inspiring for us. And then we launched our YouTube page as well, Jody, and you really helped us think about the technology behind that and the fact that we also wanted a space outside of social media for people to connect with us. So we launched the YouTube show.
Yes, as someone who personally doesn't use Facebook, I was trying to find a way that we could reach more people who want to see what we're talking about and be involved. So that's where the idea of starting a YouTube channel came around. And then if you don't catch it live, then we also have it on our website. So anybody can go in and watch some of the episodes, like no matter when. So I thought it was pretty great. And we're trying to help everyone be involved, especially those who don't have social media. So I thought that was pretty great.
So you guys, these are all our new things that kind of came about. And, you know, a lot of times you plant these seeds for things that hopefully you think will blossom, or ideas. And I think one of the things that helped all of us, that we worked together as a team and we motivated each other, because this has been a scary time too, to take first steps and new steps of things. But we've had so much success too, even with Cafecito chats, and having my colleagues who I reached out to who are also small business owners, or people that just are doing wonderful things to give back at this time, really helped us launch a lot of what we're doing. So with that said, I also kind of wanted to take this time to meet and maybe talk a little bit, Mia, too, about how I know you serve our clients and what it's looked like as far as how it's been different for everybody and how we've done meetings and done engagement.
Yeah, so the meeting sphere, I feel like, is really different. You hear a lot about, lots of people are talking about this, but you know, in a regular office, there's so many touch points. You can walk around, you can pop into someone's room. So it took a little bit of adjusting to figure out, like, how many times can I just call someone real quick and see if that works, you know? And it does. And I feel like, especially in the meeting space, you know, you've gotten used to seeing kids running in the back, husbands walking through the screen, dogs, cats jumping up, you know? And so I feel like in some ways it's even, you know, brought some people together, especially in the workspace, because you're getting this view into people's personal lives that you usually wouldn't get in a typical office setting. And I know for community engagement, it's a huge shift because obviously, as we were talking about before, that is face to face, that is walking on community. So it's changed a little bit. You can see in the photos here, we did a Halloween event recently. And, you know, instead of having kids running around, grabbing candy everywhere, we were doing distributions into cars with fill of PPE, which, you know, no kid would have thought they wanted that a year ago, but maybe now that's something that's really exciting. And I know, Dr. Cortez, you can talk about some of the other images here too.
Yes, we did a tour. So that photo that you see of kind of everyone standing apart, we had a tour with our clients. And I think this was probably one of my first times kind of going out there and seeing what it was like to be around other people, but it was so well organized. I think there was 2 people per small little buses as vans as we were kind of moving around. And then Jody and Liliana, we had a chance to block walk about 2 Saturdays ago. And where you want to share a little bit about those photos?
Yes. So, okay, I'll give you my story and then I'll let Jody add to it by all means. But I think, you know, one of the things I think I miss the most is just the interaction of people and Dr. Cortez, even just interacting like with, you know, teammates at that.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you know, this was a time that we got to, you know, get together and do this. And this was actually our first time doing door-to-door fire distribution. So we really had to be mindful of taking, you know, our mask and gloves and taking the precaution necessary to make sure we were all safe. With that being said, as we were going out, I felt even the community was more even open to us too. Maybe they felt the same way as far as like seeing people. I don't know. But their openness really and welcomeness really, you know, helped us to continue and go to door and, you know, really reach out to them and inform them about the current project that we were working on. And of course, these pictures are here are kind of little, you know, we get to showcase, you know, the work that we do. But it was just really nice to just get out there and being able to, you know, talk to the community and inform them about the project. But I'll let, you know, Jody add on to it for sure.
I think it was definitely a really good step because at the beginning of COVID, I didn't think we would ever be able to have the opportunity to be able to go on a block walk until this was over. Mm-hmm. So when we had the chance to do it and we got it done, it was really great, and especially be able to work with you, Dr. Cortez and Liliana, as we walked around the neighborhood and we're doing what we do and getting involved with our community. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think some of the people we saw were surprised that we were walking around and distributing these flyers and everything. But I think they were also grateful that somebody was out there actually trying to tell them what was happening in their neighborhood and what was going on with the roads in person. So I think that definitely kind of added in a special touch and helped them to remember us more and what we were.
I remember, Jody, you were writing down the notes so vigorously. I think it was the first time we were talking to people and getting that kind of feedback. So So now that we've talked a little bit about the organization and we've shared with you guys what our life is, and you guys have kind of talked about and reflected on what's happened with Cortez Consulting, I think one of the important things too is for us to do some little bit of self-reflection. And I prepared a little couple of questions for you guys, just like I do for our special guests. So you're our special guest today. And so I think one of the things we wanted to just reflect on is, what would you say is the most important thing you've learned personally? So kind of what has that been like for you? And maybe what have you taken away as a positive from this pandemic? So Liliana, we're going to start with you.
Okay. I think for me personally, I think it has been giving people like just the understanding of life, right? That there is, giving them grace as well. And I can really vouch for, Dr. Cortez, you have definitely given me that and modeled that for me. And I try to do the same with, staff. But I think, sometimes I remember in the beginning as the pandemic hit and we were here, you had told me it's going to hit you at one point. Everybody's going to go through it differently. And I was just like, no, like I'm working from home. It's fine. And it wasn't until it did where I just kept seeing like a same routine, right? Same little routine. And I just was like, okay, what am I looking forward to? Like, and I just felt this anxiety like just kick in. And you were like, it's okay, disconnect. You need to go for a walk, do what you need to. And I think, again, learning that your staff, has that emotional impact, it will have the emotional impact and how you could be supportive of them. I think that to me personally was just a great gratitude that I'm definitely forever grateful. And it's definitely a lesson that I will continue because yes, COVID hit us, but I think the impact that has given us will go a long way. So that's kind of mine.
And Jody, what about you? What is the positive that you take away?
That we are resilient, and no matter what we get thrown into, I think you can easily find a positive in there somewhere, and then you can just, we adjust and then we'll be able to move forward. So I've personally been able to learn that I can take a lot more than I thought, but I can also give myself some grace, like as Liliana said, and you can have some bad days, but for the most part, you just got to tell yourself you can have a good day. We adjust, everyone's adjusting to this. It's becoming the new normal at the moment, but I think that we are a lot stronger than we think. We need to give ourselves a lot more credit, or at least I personally need to give myself more credit. And like, I'm doing good. Like I'm here, I'm still getting work done, and I'm taking care of myself a lot better than I was previously. So I think that's what I have learned during this time personally.
Isn't that amazing that you start to give yourself more attention to what you're eating and how you're exercising and all that good stuff? And Mia, what about you? What is your positive takeaway?
Yeah, I definitely echo both what Liliana and Jody shared, especially that portion of, getting to know yourself a little bit more. I feel like I can check when I'm about to feel a certain way. Like I know how it feels in my body now, where I never had that before. And I feel like that connection and alarm sound is much louder than it used to be, but it's been such a positive because I can take that second and I know that, I have the grace and understanding for my coworkers that if I need to do that, I can definitely do that, which is lovely. But another thing I wanted to share is it's pretty cliche, but just a better appreciation of even the little things. I mean, yesterday I was off to pick up some flyers and my partner was so excited for me. He was like, "You get to go pick up flyers? Like, that is so cool. That is so exciting." He's like, "I wish I could go on an errand. That sounds amazing." So I really do think just appreciating every little thing and noticing a lot more the beauty that you do have in front of you.
And I know, Mia, you mentioned your partner, and Jody, you also have your partner and your little fur babies, also to both of you, and then Liliana, of course, you have your little bambinos and your hubby, and I know it's not just all about us growing personally, but I'd love for you to also share what you've learned too and what you're thankful for this year as far as how it relates to your families.
Sure. And thank you, Dr. Cortez. Yes, during this time, or as I reflect to the last couple of months, I would have to say it's the time with my family. Um, I'm very hands-on when it comes to my work. I drive, to always try to accomplish new goals and whatnot. But I think when I look back, and my foundation is definitely my time with my family, and just being thankful for that I have that. With that being said, during the time, we actually picked up hiking. I, as a kid, did it with my stepdad and my mom. And we actually, at this picture here, we went to Walnut Creek Trail, and I hadn't been there in years, Dr. Cortez. And when we went there, I know the trail like off the main trail that you would see right now. So when I got to that nice one where there's concrete, I'm like, whoa, this is new, right? So it was just really nice to kind of reflect, and I was still able to remember kind of the trail. So it was a great hiking trip. Of course, you have a picture of my lovely husband and my two kiddos that you see there. Another thing that I learned during this time was really to make activities with them. So that's actually during my lunchtime. I was responsible for arts and crafts. My husband was responsible for certain things. So we would tag team it. And then there you have my family as well. We did do a mini trip out, and both grandmas got to go. So anyone that's out there, it is possible to take both with you. And it was such a fun trip. Of course, still being mindful and taking the mask. You see the little one wearing it or whatnot. But that was definitely a trip that I will always remember. And again, it has to do with just spending the time with my family that I'm extremely thankful for, and having that flexibility as well to work from home, or else this slideshow would not be possible for sure. So,
and we know we get to see your boys, Liliana. They're our sidekicks. We get to see behind the scenes supporting you there while you work away. So I love seeing all these photos of you. And Jody, what about you? What are you thankful for?
Oh, as you mentioned earlier, Dr. Cortez, I have my fur babies. I have 2 dogs. I love them to death. And from working from home, I'm super grateful for having all this extra time and having them there to be my companions. And just so I'm never alone at the house, even if I'm working and no one else is here, they're always there. And usually, as you can tell in the second photo, they usually actually go under my desk when I'm working in my office. So they're always there, and they can help lift my spirits if I'm having a bad day. And I get to give them so much more love and attention. It's made me really appreciate that I have them in my life. And then also, dogs are usually home by themselves all day when you're at work. And now I'm home all day. So now I really appreciate being able to leave the house, go for a walk, take them with me.
Yeah.
But I'm just so grateful that I get to have them with me all the time. I think there's actually one behind me. You kind of see them hiding in the background. But yeah, I'm super grateful to have them.
And I know we get to see them too, and they get to talk while you're talking sometimes. And I'm like you, Jody, too. Now we get to the point where we take our little Harley with us, even if we're just going to go pick up food and go through the drive-thru. It's like putting them in the car and saying, I don't want to leave you. But before, you're right, we would leave them around for 8 hours. That's crazy. And then Mia, I know you welcome some new little ones to your home too, your little fur babies. And what are you thankful for?
Yeah, well, as you can see, this was our herb garden pre-pandemic. It is now just a flat bowl of dirt that they like to sleep in. We no longer have rosemary. But yeah, I mean, I have such a hard time being mushy, but I've been so appreciative of, my partner and these 2 kitties this whole time. We actually moved here last year, a few months before the pandemic hit. So we're here, our whole family's on the East Coast. Mine's in Virginia, his in Maryland. So we have this huge separation from our family. So we really just had each other here. We don't have our core group of friends here, And my
Mhm.
partner has just provided me with such an insane amount of support throughout all of this. Our communication has been killing it. As soon as something comes up, when you live in 500 square feet together, you have to know how to talk about things. Because as soon as there's an issue, it comes up and it gets resolved same day. It's not pleasant to be in. But these two kittens have just, the black one's name is Raisin. She only has one eye, and I got her when I was in college. And then the orange one was actually a birthday present to me, but also to Raisin when we moved here. And they are super good friends. They filled the house with so much lightness and joy, just playing with each other all the time. And lots of broken items, lots of laughter as well. So it's all good. It works out.
Oh, that is so cool, Malia. And I remember you telling us the story about being away from your family. And, I think part of what happens too through this experience is that, things you would normally not, and not that you wouldn't normally share them at work, but things that wouldn't be related to what you're doing at work if we were in an office setting in a sense, I think has been just wonderful in getting to know each other and kind of what's happening, what's going on. And we talk about food. And I know Liliana all the time, I'm like, hey, what did you have for lunch? Or what did we have for lunch? And we're always sharing different cool things. I mean, to the point, you guys, we've got to the point where this favorite drink that we have, this Canada Dry that they sell at Sam's, if you haven't had it, it comes in raspberry, grape, and regular flavor. We all love it. And it was a memory of ours last year. So anyway, just some cool things. And thank you guys for sharing. And of course, for mine, just as we get ready to close out and talk about, these are my two gifts. And if I had more room in here, it'd be my brother and my sister-in-law, my nephews, and everyone that I love, and all of my family members. But this is kind of what our life was like. And what I was really grateful for was that at the time my mom was with us. And so we celebrated Mother's Day, major milestones, Mother's Day, Jason's birthday, our anniversary. And then, of course, these are just some things we did, but it gave me a lot of hope in that, you can change your life and things can change for you. And I was so excited when I was able to get on my bike because I hadn't done it for 4 years and they'd just been sitting in my garage. And finally I was like, what am I waiting for? I have time, I can do this. And then Mom and I planted some roses in the front. They're beautiful right now, they're growing. And so just lots of hopeful memories. And so with that said, I hope you guys take some time to think about what you're grateful for at this point in time. And before we close out, we always like to share a little consejito. And I know that you guys have kind of been giving that little wisdom and nuggets and little jewels as we've been talking today. But just a real quick, what's your consejito for everyone? What would you like to share? And Liliana, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think what I would love to share is that as everyone gets together for the holidays, just to keep that in mind and just, continue to be safe and being proactive to make sure you are taking care of yourself and as well as others. I come from a family that loves, to get together, make tamales and do all that fun stuff for sure. And then there's other ways that we can create memories. But I think my consejito is just, for everyone to be mindful of the situation and to always, always reach out to family or friends just to let them know how they are doing. That sometimes can go a long way because we never know, what people are going through.
Thank you. How about you, Jody?
My piece of advice would have to be take time every day to check in with your mental health and do something for you. It can be anything as simple as going for a walk, making a new recipe, or doing some art, or reading a book. But I think every day, especially with everything going on, we should kind of check in, do something that makes you happy, make you feel good, and just keep that going so we can keep a positive attitude through this whole thing.
Miss Mia?
Mine would be to expand on the checking in with your family and whoever you're living with. Make sure you schedule time that's not just living together time, even though we can't have the same sort of dates that we were having before and things like that. Even a scheduled fancy dinner or something like that. You'd be surprised. You think you're hanging out with them all day, but you're not really when you're working. So still having that time to have actual check-in time with the people you're living with can be really valuable.
That's amazing. Well, thank you guys for sharing that, Consejito. And I'm going to read a little something that I saw last night and that it really resonated with me. So if any of you follow Huffington Post or Anya Huffington, she actually put a quote out that said, "The day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit." And I think right now we're planting all these seeds for just a really new reality that we're all kind of going through, or sometimes when we're doing our work, we don't realize like what's going to flourish from it. So sometimes we're so used to, in a world where we were living so fast paced, this has really made us slow down and think about how are we putting our energies, where do we put our love, where do we put our time, and that somehow in this whole thing, we're learning resiliency, we're learning to have patience, and we're learning to love ourselves more for where we are at. I even saw something earlier today that somebody put on Facebook, and someone was like, you know, right now, as long as I'm cared for, doesn't matter if I'm losing weight, eating healthy, as long as I feel good about myself. So those are our consejitos for all of you. We hope you've kind of enjoyed our chat. We always close out with just kind of what's going on in our life and how you can get in touch with us. Many of you who are probably checking in, these are all our connections, our social media, ways you can get in touch with us. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, please do so. You can still have an opportunity to do that and stay connected with us. We will be putting out our next Cafecito connection in December, so keep an eye out for that. We just put that in the chat in the comments section, so hopefully there'll be some cool news coming out. And then as you can see here, we're gonna have our new show, our last show of the year, December 9th, and we're gonna be doing something along the lines about celebrations of posadas. So if any of you guys do that or know some wonderful people we can interview for posadas, it's a really great memory for me as I was growing up, so we want to just acknowledge that. So December will be acknowledging posadas. So we hope you'll join us. That'll be our last one. And again, thank you guys for tuning in with all of us today. We hope that kind of just sharing the Cortez team's advice and what we give thanks for and what we reflect on will inspire you and kind of keep us going through these holidays. So again, thank you guys for sharing too. I appreciate you being here with me live. And again, thank you guys for everyone for joining us today. We'll see you next time.